been a huge supporter of Tyrell Williams. You may not know who he is. He's third receiver for the Chargers, but probably underutilized relative to the fact that he's 6'4", 205 pounds, and when given the opportunity to be a number one, he's been a number one. So, interestingly enough, I found this article from Bleacher Report that was looking at the best potential bargains in free agency at every position. The best potential bargain at wide receiver is Tyrell Williams. Interesting. Tyrell Williams, Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver Tyrell Williams, aspires to be a team's top pass catcher. 6'4", 205 pounds. He looks the part. He quote here, I definitely feel like I'm a number one, blah, 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 blah. So I want to make sure I clean up all the little things in route running, blocking to make sure I solidify myself as a number one. I've mentioned on this show, he had a breakout campaign in 2016. He had 69 catches, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. And again, this is the type of guy, when you look at his film, he can play all over the formation. He can play everywhere. He can run every route. He is a polished wide receiver who's been underutilized. Tyrell Williams, to me, is as good of a bet as you can make in free agency because he's young. He hasn't missed games with injuries. He's got the size, the look, the ball skills. He's got it all. This is I cannot bang the Tyrell Williams drum enough. We know that throwing passes is the most efficient way to play in the NFL. And since scoring is most important than stopping teams from scoring, right? Like, again, top 4 offenses were in the Final Four. None of the top 4 defenses were. So it seems teams set all kinds of offensive records. I don't think that's an anomaly. I don't think that's a blip. I think that is the standard now. So offense is the priority. So now you kind of look at the positional hierarchy, right? Quarterback is probably the most important position you can have on a football team. What's 2? I'd argue offensive line. What's 3? Some might argue defensive tackle, defensive line. You might argue wide receiver. Again, given that throwing the football is the most efficient play in football. You're going to get more yardage and more touchdowns and score more points if you throw the ball more than you run it. Now, there's probably a tipping point there, but nobody in the NFL is running it 20% of the time and throwing it 80% of the time. But there's, 70-30. You have that balance, you're going to be a more efficient football team. So I'm going to invest in the more efficient position, which is Tyrell Williams at wide receiver, because there's nobody I can draft that gets me to that level right now, and there's nobody in free agency that's even close to that potential with him. The Dallas Cowboys, the Joneses, the people running the Cowboys, they believe they have the pieces to be a championship team. So they will do everything that they can in order to fortify that. But more to the point, the expectations this season are that. So anybody that thinks, trade DeMarcus Lawrence or trade Zeke, they're not doing that. They believe they have a championship roster. So they're going to do the smart things. They're going to keep DeMarcus Lawrence. They could extend Dak Prescott. Whether you think that's smart or not is beside the point. They're going to do all the things that they need to do to put this roster in position to win a championship because they believe they have the pieces that they can do that. The one thing they're probably unsure about is their coach. And that could be the best news you get all offseason.